Part 3 of 10 of the land of why. 10-part series of, I guess you could say, confessionals, right? Of like real deal challenges, problems, issues of number 1 being human, number 2 being in relationship, and number 3 the feminine, right? I was thinking about this all weekend long, and this topic today is why I stayed married. Last week I shared with you that I cheated on my husband of many years ago, and I then, after the marriage, became a mistress to a married man. And I've thrown out some questions in the process to my base and everything, and I think the one thing that I hope people can take away from this 10-part series, outside of just the shares and the different stuff that comes up, would be that we are really quick to judge, to criticize, and to separate ourselves, almost to a point of having contempt for those that we do not understand. That is probably part of the issue in our world today, is this utter contempt that we have for our fellow human beings, and this idea that we are better than somebody else because we don't understand their choices, because we deem whatever they did so horrifically wrong, unmoral, not right. I mean, the majority of people, I don't think I've ever met a person that says, man, I really want to be lied to. I really want to be cheated on. I really don't want to have connection in my relationship. That's not what we don't enter a relationship saying, I want to lie, I want to cheat, I want to, I don't want to have transparency, I want to have disconnect. We don't get into relationship for that. That's crazy, right? So how is it that you can get into relationship and then this stuff occurs? And what makes it occur? Well, that's hopefully, there's always two sides to everything, and that is the key component. If we can somehow, within inside ourselves, and if I just touch one person in this series of 10 and help them to wake up to, hey, I have a role in this. I've heard a lot of people say, I don't like the word victim. Okay, yeah, I hate the word victim. Living in a victim state is definitely a depressed, unhealthy state of being that is based in fear and based in this, the world is happening to me and I have no role in it. And that's just not a good space to be in. But we all do get there at points, and sometimes we are victims. Sometimes, stuff happens in life that creates that victim mindset. It is the ability to be able to see our role, even in the worst case scenario, as to why this is occurring in our life experience. So today's topic, why I stayed married? Because one of the things that I've heard repetitively over the cheating and the mistress factor is, number 1, just be truthful. Just be truthful. If you're not good in the relationship, just speak your truth. Just, state how it is. It's about lack of communication. It's about this, it's about that. If you're not good, speak to your partner. Okay. Well, I can tell you that, and I think I said this maybe the last video or the video before, somewhere along the line in the last few days, said it. And every relationship that we get into, when it is a long-term relationship, okay, and even sometimes in short relationships, it depends on the evolution of the individuals and of the relationship. But every relationship, when we look at long-term, so that marriage was 16, 17 years long, okay? And both of us changed over the course of time. We were not the same people when we got married that we were when we got divorced. And I am far from the same woman today, in today's terms, as what I was at 18 when I got married. Because I was 18 years old when I got married, and then I started having babies, and I went into, what you're told is supposed to be the dream get married, have kids, get a house, get a job, pay your bills, settle in, do your duty as a parent, do your duty as a woman, do your duty as a wife, do your duty, do your duty, do your duty. And this is impressed on the feminine massively, and we naturally have it anyway, because we're nurturers, because we do have that mothering instinct, that sisterhood, where we want to, we take care of things. So where the masculine is supposed to protect, the feminine nurtures. Okay, so it's protection from the masculine, and the feminine's protection is the nurturing characteristic. So here I am, 18, and number one, you'd have to say, well, why'd you get married at 18? I was running away from my mom, plain and simple. Looking back at it today, I can clearly say I was, number one, heartbroken because I had my stupid teenager head caught up in a boy who broke my heart. And I thought that my world was over because, at 15, 16 years old, you know exactly what's going on in your life. You got it all figured out. It's all perfect. And whoever you're with, of course, this is like your soulmate. This is the perfect relationship. Everything's great. Reality isn't there, right? Not to mention frontal lobe isn't working. And for us girls, hormones aren't balanced at all. We're not even like sexually functioning properly in the moment. All that kicks in your early 20s, where the affair happened. So there I was, got heartbroken, had an overbearing, codependent mother who clung to me for her own well-being in life. And I, without knowing what I was doing, without the comprehension of it, jumped from one piss poor situation to another situation that was codependent and was need-based, much like this over here. It was need-based. I transferred somebody needing me and that codependency on me from my parent to my spouse, and then to my children. And I took care of what I needed to take care of. I did what I needed to do until I got to a point of depletion. And here's the thing. What you don't understand in this is that the me of then was, and people never believe me on this, but it's very true. And if you talk to some of my oldest friends that knew me when I was 14, 15 years old, they would say, yeah, that was her. I walked pigeon-toed and slumped over. I was scared of my own shadow. I couldn't make eye contact. I pushed myself on different things, but I was terrified to speak to my truth, to communicate at all. It was just a yes ma'am, yes sir situation across the board. I did not have rights. I felt like that just was not okay. I could not. So also, I had abandonment issues from my father, okay? And those abandonment issues from my father also played out over the course of time there, except I didn't know that I had abandonment issues. I didn't know that I had communication issues. I didn't know that this was codependency that my mom was giving me and that I transferred it over here. I didn't know that I was running from this situation into this situation and it was just a bad idea. I didn't have the capability of having the foresight of being able to see what the repercussions of my choices were. And unfortunately, I really didn't. It took time for me to start to see, hey, this isn't good, that's not good. And once I started to see it, once I started to wake up to my own shit show that I had created, I had 2-3 kids, right? And I made some more poor decisions on top of it. And I had shame and guilt. And I had this idea of, I need to stay in this because I am committed, and that's what I'm supposed to be here. For richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, here I am. I said yes. I said I do. Maybe it wasn't the best decision, but my kids need me to do this, and I have this. He needs me. My then husband needs me. Okay. So over that time frame, what was it that really kept me there? It was guilt. It was fear. It was the concept of that was what was expected of me. And I had already messed up so badly in my eyes because what? I cheated on him. So I had messed up so badly. So I really needed to just put my head down and commit. Put my head down and make sure that that didn't happen again. Get my stuff in order and do whatever I could to stabilize the house, the home, the family. Okay? I see somebody says, was it 2 or 3 kids? It looks like you wasn't sure. I'm talking about over a time frame. So I'm talking about over a few years. So was it start out with no kids? Then it went to 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. Timeline here, long timeline. So over the course of that time frame of waking up, maturing, learning how to communicate, seeing where my faults were, seeing what was going on. Well, guess what? It took me the whole marriage, all 16 and a few months, years, to actually go, I'm not good with this. And it's okay for me to not be good with this. And it wasn't that communication wasn't happening over the course of the 16 years. Communication did happen. Communication was, I'm not good with this. We fought. We yelled at each other. I had a temperament from hell. It was not a pretty scene, but it was this festering where I would take it. And it was one of those things of just constant stress. And the stress, it did become an emotional stress because it balanced on the well-being of my family. It balanced on the fact that I was a piece of furniture in my marriage with my husband. And that even after I fell down and cheated, admitted to my fault, asked for forgiveness, did all of this, and we talked about, we're going to rekindle the relationship. We're going to work on forgiveness. We're going to work on trust. We're going to work on connection. We're going to work on the relationship and rebuild the foundation there. Well, it would have been build the foundation because there really wasn't a foundation on the front side. That's the funny thing. We thought we had a foundation, but we didn't really have a foundation. It was shifting sand from day one. But here I was in the midst of this, and I had hope. Man, I'm good at hope. It's just, I had this hope that this negative would turn into a positive because it was a wake-up call, and because it drew up all the stuff that was inside of me and the stuff that I wasn't happy with and that I couldn't speak, and it forced me to grow the fuck up really quick and speak exactly where I was and start communicating it. And it worked for maybe 2 months where there was an attempt, if that. And then we just got back into the same routine. We didn't look for outside help. I was reading couples books and he was reading self-growth books. We focused in on, his business. We struggled more and more deeper with finances. Nothing shifted there either. The connection didn't shift. The financial situation didn't shift, but we moved maybe another 10 plus times. There were times when in my life where I only lived in a house for 3 months. I never even got the boxes unpacked. There was constant uproar in the house. Yeah, I kept it going. This is a decade now. A decade of keeping it going, of communicating, of saying, let's do this, let's connect. Foundation. Here's what we need. Here's what I'm asking for. What do you need? And what was it? It was, he chose to run to the beer, the wine, the whatever, and I shut down until I could not take it anymore and asked for a divorce once and for all. And that was then that story. But the reason why I stayed put, and the reason why so many people stay put, is because they have some amount of hope that things will shift, some amount of hope that things will change, some amount of hope that the reasons why they got into the shoes of thinking about cheating, of having the emotional affair, of having the wife, the husband at work that connection there of having the playful friendships, or of actually physically, sexually cheating. The reasons for all those things, they started from something. And until we deal with the root issues, then that just sits there. For both parties. Trust never gets rebuilt. Forgiveness never really truly happens. It's kind of like brushed underneath the rug and just asked to be forgotten. And even though forgotten is part of the forgiveness game, you got to let go of it. If you're not dealing with the root, if you're not saying why did this person make this decision? And if you're not inquiring why with true intention of wanting to fix it, of wanting to repair what created that crack, then it will destroy the relationship, or it will create a repeat if that person does not know how to say goodbye. I learned how to say goodbye. I went down that path. I learned how to say goodbye. I took another path. But I could have easily stayed in that relationship, stayed completely unhappy, stayed in complete turbulence for, it's been, 11 years now since I divorced my then husband. So I could have spent the last 11 years in the same situation that I spent that first 16 years. Okay? Because somebody else's life hasn't changed too much. My life has shifted. What would have been best for the kids? Reason number 2 why people stay in the relationship. It's best for the kids. We hear about how broken families destroys our children, and how children need both parents. And yeah, it's true. Broken households is not good for our kids. And our children need their fathers and their mothers. They need both sides, and they need, above everything else within that relationship, they need to see unity, they need to see love, they need to see compassion, they need to see communication, and they need a strong ass foundation. And we're still going to get it wrong. There's still plenty for us parents to get wrong in the midst of that. But I can tell you that that's what they need. So where in my particular story here was there good communication, stable foundation, lack of constant moving? Is it good for kids to move every 3 to 6 months and constantly be uprooted from state to state to state and be changing houses and homes? No, that's not good, right? Is it good to see their parents fighting with each other constantly? Is it good to see their one parent excessively drinking and having issues in that way? Is it good for them to constantly experience the power going out, or an eviction notice on the door, or the car getting repossessed? No, it isn't. None of that is good. Is it good to have the constant blame game going on between the parents of that can happen there? The constant finger pointing? That stuff all comes back to our kids. And one of the big wake-up calls that I had, I'll never forget the day. My eldest daughter came to me, and I think she was 13. I'm going to say she was 13. She came to me one day, and she looked at me and she said, "Mom, you're staying with Dad for us kids. And you need to leave Dad, because it's not good for the family that you guys are together." And I thought to myself, wow, out of the mouths of babes, right? The truth does come up sometimes, and it was hard for me to stomach. And it broke my heart that my daughter, my baby girl, was standing there, and she was telling me that my choice, my dedication and commitment to suck it up, to feel the pain, to disregard my personal needs, feelings, emotions, just make it through all this stuff, because I was doing a lot of it for what? Keep Mom and Dad together. At least have this home. It's not about the house. The home is a space in the heart. The home is what the two people make it, and about how you can build this connection with your kids. And here my eldest daughter was standing there for herself and her younger siblings and telling me that I was messing up in this moment because my commitment to the relationship, to the marriage, was actually just causing issues within the kids, because they were exhausted and they were wiped out from the constants of what mom and dad were doing to each other. Our emotional immaturity, okay? Our inability to be healthy adults with each other. So that right there made me go, it's time. It's time. I'm a slow mover, unfortunately. Some would definitely know that better than others. And so it took me a second to kind of breathe in what she was sharing with me and make that decision to say, enough is enough. It's time to move on. But I stayed there for kids. I stayed there because that's what was expected of me. My duty to the marriage, my duty to what society has told us, on the till death do us part. And I'd like to say I stayed there for the finances. I didn't stay there for finances. No. The end of the relationship, maybe he stayed for the finances. I don't know. Did I stay for the sex? Nope. That was pretty much obsolete. Couldn't go there. Felt disgusted every single time it happened. The disconnect was horrible, which made it all the worse because then I was just shutting down. And there were really, really bad moments in the sexual front too, towards the end of the relationship. Stayed there for what? Almost because I felt like he needed me. I knew that he had challenges around alcohol. I knew that he was a dreamer and that he needed some sort of stable front. And there I was trying to pull the whole, hold it together, keep the base income, try to keep stability the best I could, all of that. So I felt responsible to him. After all, that's what partnership is. When one is down, the other picks it up, right? Right? Except you're supposed to pick your partner up so that they can heal, do what they need, and then you come back together and you unite and you support and you are together. So why do people stay in shit relationships? Why do people stay in abusive relationships, whether that is emotional, physical, sexual, financial, you name it, right? Why do we stay in these abusive relationships? Why do we stay in relationships where we're getting stonewalled? Why do we stay in relationships with narcissists, with addicts? Why do we stay in relationships even after we've cheated? Why do we cheat and not talk about it? Why do we not come to that person? Well, for all of the reasons that I just shared and 1,000 more, because this situation is very unique to any individual. And you never know where anybody is at. And I can tell you again, like I said on the friend side, we change over the course of time. We are not the same person at this age as we are even 6 months later. We're constantly evolving as human beings. And so when you are in long-term relationship with somebody, you will date, you will be engaged to, you will be married to, you will live this life with perhaps just one person over whatever that time frame is. But if you're 20 years in a relationship with somebody, you will probably have at least 5 different people that you are in a 20-year relationship with, because it is constantly evolving. And you are 5 different people too. You're not the same person, and they are not the same person. This idea of getting in there and this is who we are and I don't ever want anything to change and blah, 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 blah. You can want that all damn day long, but that person's changing and so are you. The question is, do you grow closer? Do you learn each other more? Do you appreciate the new person that you're waking up to every single morning, that you're experiencing this life with every single morning? Are you working for the grandest good of the entity of us and willing to get in there and do the difficult conversations, the hard work that sometimes relationship requires of us? Or are you just hoping that, hey, put a ring on the finger, we got this, we got that, and it's easy breezy now. We don't have to work on this. Now I can go do this, and this is just going to self-manage itself, right? And they're just going to be okay with however the frick I show up, and I don't have to really work at it the way I did to get that person. I don't really have to communicate like that. Do you ask the person in your life, this partner, this relationship, this man, this woman, do you inquire with them how their day is? What's going on with them? What their thoughts, their feelings are? What you could improve on? What's going good? Can you sit down and have conversations around values, respect, sex? You know, over the last almost now 2 decades of working with people on relationship, sexuality, connection, intimacy, all the stuff. And I can tell you over and over again that these things that I'm bringing to the table in this 10-part series are the things that people sit in front of me with consistently. And they say over and over again, I just can't talk to him or her about it, but they're my best friend. They're my best friend, but I can't tell them what I need here. I can't tell them how I really feel about that. That would hurt their ego. That would cause a ruffle in the relationship. Can't have that conversation. But man, I really dislike the way he or she does this or that. I really am feeling disconnected. But I can't tell them that. We as a society don't know how to communicate. And what we are running from is the confrontation. Because abandonment is there for all of us. We've all been abandoned either by self or another. And that's what we're running from. We're running from that confrontation that could lead to abandonment. We're running from the concept that if we do something and it's not right to the other person, that's going to cause a bigger issue than us just swallowing it and not speaking our truth. So, I encourage anybody who catches this series, number 1, slow your roll on the judgment. Watch the stones that you cast. Been great at casting stones in my life, and a lot of those stones have flown back at me. So watch the judgment. Watch the egotistical ideas of I am better than, or I would never, or how could they? You don't have to understand it, but you can have compassion for somebody and realize that relationship requires work, and it is always a two-way street. And you can learn from other people's hard lessons and say, I don't understand how they got in those shoes. I don't understand why they made the decisions that they made. But I don't want that for my relationship. So, what do I need to do right now to prevent? It's kind of like preventative relationship medicine. Okay? What vitamins, what nutrients do you need to take? What exercises do you need to do to guarantee that your relationship is in top health? Because if you're just thinking that it's just going to just float by and you don't have to do anything, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong, and you're going to be very sad. Very, very sad. And the programs that you haven't dealt with, and the fears that you're not willing to face, and the patterns that you're like aren't even aware of, well, they're just going to keep coming back until you get aware or you die. Because there's plenty of people that die without ever really embracing what's going on and how they are a co-creator to all life experience. So I hope I answered something, at least gave you a little bit of cue in as to why people do what they do. Understand that there are 1,000 reasons plus as to why people choose to cheat, why they choose to stay. The majority of them, though, I gave you right here. And it really does. It comes back to what they feel their responsibility is, guilt and shame, kids, sometimes finances, and this idea that they owe the person something. Those are key. And then you can add on to that for whatever else might be going on in their lives. But realize that when somebody chooses to stay, they are choosing that because they feel that it is the absolute best decision for that moment, and they just don't know that there's another choice, or they're not strong enough as a person, they're not emotionally mature enough to be able to make a different decision, to see a different decision, or to communicate what they need. So, take heed on a toss of the stones. Continue to do you. Expand yourself. Look at your own relationship. Ask, how can I improve this? What are some of the things that I need to discuss with the person in my life? What are the conversations that I'm avoiding? What are the things that are really kind of just sitting there eating away at me, and I don't know how to vocalize, how to speak to my partner? What are those things? And take a good deep breath, get centered in yourself, and ask for that connection. Ask for that intimacy share. Ask for the communication, and be willing to hear, to listen to your partner. All right, guys, I love you. I will catch you tomorrow with whatever my topic of the day is, which I don't know off the top of my head. Stay tuned for another 7 parts to this 10-part series. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, beautiful, beautiful workshops coming on. My workshop for October 9th is almost sold out. There's just a couple spots left, so grab that. I haven't done that particular workshop for 2 years. It is all on quantum touch, quantum healing, movement. We're really getting into the whole body system. Absolutely a beautiful process there. Then I've got a couples workshop coming up in November, and then I have a body rhythms, which focuses in on vagus nerve and just really activating and healing the body in December. And then January is another couples workshop that is coming up. So lots of couple stuff, lots of stuff focused on love, connection, intimacy, and really getting in there and learning what are the conversations that I need to have with self and with my significant other, or what are the things that I need to get right within self so that I can have a significant other. So for all the singles out there, realize that there's work that you need to do on you so that you can call in the relationship that's really going to get you to do the work on you, because that's what a soulmate relationship is about. It is about accessing a deeper connection to self, a deeper connection to spirit, to source energy, God, whatever you want to call the entity out there, and to really understand what the entity of us is all about, and how much you really have to be dedicated to you and to the entity of us. All right. I love you guys. Know that you are worthy of a beautiful, dynamic, powerful soulmate relationship. If you're interested in anything to go deeper on any of these topics that I bring forth here, want help, direction, or to just learn what those conversations are, or to have somebody kind of hold your hand through those conversations, that's what I do for couples and singles alike. So reach out to me in the comment section, private message me, however you want. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Land of Why.